On a warm July night in Middleburg, Florida, the quiet hum of County Road 220 was broken by a voice no one in this rural neighborhood would ever forget. It was the voice of 14-year-old Trevor Lee, a boy with no criminal record, a boy who, just hours before, had told his best friend, "I love you, good night." A boy who was now calmly confessing to something unthinkable. The 911 operator stayed on the line as Trevor gave him directions. He didn't run. He didn't try to hide. Instead, he told deputies exactly where to find his parents, David Lee and Brittany Smith, and exactly where he would be waiting over a mile away. SFX, slow, low thump, like a heartbeat, under faint sound of cicadas. When deputies arrived, the Lee home stood in total stillness. Except, some officers later swore, it didn't feel still at all. One described the air inside as heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. Another claimed the temperature dropped the second they crossed the threshold. Officially, these details never made the report. Unofficially, they became the first cracks in a case that was about to get much stranger. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so as we continue with the rest of the story. The evidence, the rumors, and the moments police still can't explain. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop your theories in the comments. Was this cold-blooded murder or something far darker at play? Your voice might just help solve a mystery that still haunts Middleburg. Hours before that 911 call, there was another conversation. Trevor's closest friend, Carrie Beeman, remembers it word for word. He told me that he loved me and that he was just calling to tell me good night. Nothing in Trevor's tone suggested rage. Nothing suggested fear. But there was something. Carrie says the call felt shorter than usual, like Trevor was distracted, listening to something or someone else. Neighbors reported strange activity that night. Porch lights flickering, dogs barking in unison, and one resident swearing they saw movement behind the Lee family's upstairs window long after the lights went out. Investigators say there had been an argument earlier that evening. A typical family dispute, the kind that usually ends in slammed doors, not gunfire. But something shifted in that house between the time Trevor hung up the phone and the moment he dialed 911. Was it the weight of teenage anger? A tragic snap in judgment? Or was there something in that house that night, something unseen, pushing events toward the unthinkable? What happened inside the Lee home may never be fully understood. But in stories like these, the truth often hides in the silence between the facts. As we continue with the rest of the story, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Drop your theories in the comments. Was this cold-blooded murder or something far darker at play? Your voice might just help solve a mystery that still haunts Middleburg. July 8th, 2025. Morning breaks over Silver Point, a neighborhood where the loudest sound is usually a lawnmower. But on this day, it was a distant echo of police radios. A family home had fallen silent, except for the whispers of a tragedy that would ripple far beyond these streets. Inside, deputies found David Lee and Brittany Smith. Both shot, both gone. The preliminary report, a domestic argument. But the photographs told a stranger story. One frame captured a tipped-over lamp, its bulb shattered on the carpet. Another showed an open window upstairs, even though investigators say the family usually kept them locked. And then there was the clock, the one in the kitchen, stopped at 12:34 a.m. That time was important. Carrie Beeman swore he spoke to Trevor around 12:30 a.m. That would mean, if the clock was right, the shots were fired only minutes later. And yet, the autopsy report suggested a delay. The bodies may have been found hours after death. Neighbor reenacted, quote, "I heard a bang, like a car backfiring. But when I looked outside, the street was empty. And the next thing, all my porch lights went out. At once." Investigators noted no signs of forced entry. No missing valuables. No footprints leading away from the house, except Trevor's. He had walked more than a mile barefoot to a nearby church before calling 911. When asked why he walked instead of calling from home, Trevor reportedly told deputies, "I didn't want to be there anymore." But he never explained what "there" meant. Some say Trevor snapped. Others say he wasn't alone in that house, that Whatever lingered inside, the shadow in the hallway, the whispers neighbors mentioned, left when he did. Police closed their report with words you'll hear in many cold cases. Motive unknown. But that's just the official version, the one written for the file, not for the truth, because the truth may not be in the evidence bag. It might be hiding in the stories locals tell, in the dreams Carrie still has, and in the unanswered question, was this the work of a troubled teen, or something that's still out there, waiting for another house to call home? If you've got a theory, drop it below. Could the clock stopping at 12:34 be a coincidence, or a sign of something else? Subscribe, share this with a friend, and join the discussion, because the more we talk about it, the harder it is for the truth to stay hidden. In Middleburg, word travels faster than the rain. And after the night of July 8, 2025, the story started almost immediately. Some sounded like typical small-town gossip. Others sounded like warnings. Local resident. That house? We always knew it was off. First family that lived there moved out after a year. Said the power would cut out in the middle of dinner. Said the youngest kid wouldn't sleep in her room. She kept saying there was a man in the corner. The official records don't mention any of this. No history of police calls for disturbances. No complaints about electrical issues. But in a place like Middleburg, not every story makes it to paper. One rumor links the Lee home to an accident from years before, a head-on collision at the bend in the road, just yards from the driveway. 2 people died that night. One of them, according to locals, lived in the very house Trevor would later call home. Some neighbors claimed they'd heard knocking sounds coming from the house at night. 3 knocks, always spaced the same. Others say their pets refused to go near the Lee property. One woman swears she saw a figure in an upstairs window 2 days after murders. She knew the police had already cleared the scene. But perhaps the strangest thing came from the first responders themselves. An officer, speaking off the record, told a reporter that while clearing the home, he thought he heard someone breathing, heavy, slow, in the master bedroom. When they opened the door, the room was empty. Whether these details are fact, exaggeration, or pure imagination, they've taken root, and they've turned this case from a straightforward tragedy into something people still whisper about at gas stations and coffee shops all over Clay County. Your theory matters here. Was this a violent crime with a simple cause, or something older, stranger, that reached out from the shadows of County Road 220? Comment below, subscribe as we continue, and share this with someone who loves unraveling mysteries. Because the truth is hiding somewhere, and together we just might find it. By the time the Lee home was secured, the facts were clear. Trevor Lee, 14, had walked over a mile barefoot to a church, called 911 and confessed. His parents were dead. The timeline fit. The motive officially? Unknown. And yet, the questions refuse to fade. Carrie Beeman, direct quote, "I keep thinking about that phone call. He sounded normal, like nothing was wrong. And then this happens. I can't make sense of it." Carrie isn't alone. Neighbors still whisper about the strange sounds and movements that night. Officers talk quietly about the chill that came over them inside the house. And some locals insist the Lee home had a presence, something lingering just out of sight. Was Trevor a boy pushed too far by frustration and teenage rebellion? Or was there something more at play? A shadow in the home, a whisper no one could hear, a force that bent the night's events toward horror? We may never know. The crime scene photos, witness statements, and police reports tell one story. The whispers, the lights, the inexplicable cold spots tell another. And somewhere between the two lies the truth. The kitchen clock stopped at 12:34 a.m. Was it coincidence or a message? Was it Trevor's anger, fear, or despair that drove him to make the call? Or something that waited, unseen, in the Lee home that night? The tragedy of the Lee family still haunts County Road 220. Was this a simple act of a troubled teen, or something far stranger at work that night? If this story sent chills down your spine, hit the like button to show you on more real-life mysteries explored. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of our cold case investigations. And most importantly, we want to hear from you. What do you think happened inside the Lee home that night? Was it pure human tragedy, or could something unseen have influenced the events? Drop your theories in the comments. Your voice could help shed light on a mystery that still lingers.